Good morning, grade 11s. Today we'll take a look at question 3 of the 2019 district paper, paper 1 for June. Just before we continue, I realize that the screen might be gray at this stage. It just takes a while for the screen recorder to show the image. But while we wait, I'm sure you are aware by now that we are only looking at paper 1 this week, and we will continue with term 3 work from Monday, the 8th of June. Right, so let's jump into question 3. You'll see that they've given you a transport table here in question 3.1 that shows the route and time for the Shawzalozamel train users. So they give you the times that the train departs, each different town, and the distances are given in a distance related, related to the distance from Johannesburg. And you'll see the time that it leaves from each town. So look at question 3.1.1. At what time does the train leave Johannesburg for Durban? That's just simply reading off of the table, and you'll see that it leaves at 20 to 7 in the evening there. Question 3.1.2. What is the distance in kilometers between Johannesburg and Durban? Again, you only have to read off of the table. You'll see that the relative distance to Johannesburg is 722 kilometers. 3.113, convert the distance in question 3.1.2 above into miles. So we'll convert 722 kilometers into miles, and they've given you the conversion, the ratio there, which is 1 kilometer equals 0.62 miles. Because they gave us the ratio kilometers to miles, all you need to do is multiply 722 kilometers with 0.621371 miles, and on the memo it looks like this. Question 3.1.3, that equals 448.63 miles rounded off to the second decimal. All right, moving back to the questions. Let me just move this down. It might take a few seconds to adjust the image. Right, so if we look at question 3.1.4, on which day and time will a person who leaves Johannesburg on Wednesday at 20 to 7 arrive in Durban? So I'm not going to move the image now, just listen. In the table above, you'll see that on day 1, the time or the departure from Johannesburg is at 18 or 20 to 7 in the evening, and that is given as day 1. So we can assume Wednesday is day 1, and the arrival time in Durban is 10 past 9 in the morning on day 2. So because day 1 was Wednesday, we can assume day 2 is Thursday. So the answer is 10 past 9 in the morning on Thursday. Right, question 3.1.5. Determine the total time in hours and minutes it would take a tourist to travel between Johannesburg and Durban. So we will be calculating the elapsed time between the departure time from Johannesburg and the arrival time in Durban. And just take a look at my answer. So we just need to take note of something that might be a little bit confusing. So you'll see that the departure time is 18:40 or 20 to 7 in the evening, and the arrival time is 10 past 9 in the morning the next day. Now, we did elapsed time in term 1, and we showed you all how to use your calculators using the degree button to calculate elapsed time. You can also use the long method as explained in the Platinum book. However, if I just take the difference between 20 to 7 in the evening and 10 past 9 in the morning, and on the same day, that difference is 9 hours and 30 minutes, and some of you might have gotten this answer. However, we have traveled, we left Johannesburg at 20 to 7 in the evening, and we arrived 10 past 9 the next day. So when you travel from one day to the next and you've traveled less than 24 hours, you can take the elapsed time that you calculated in the first place and subtract that time from 24 hours. And you'll see that the actual time between 20 to 7 in the evening and 10 past 9 in the morning the next day is actually 14 hours and 30 minutes. All right, so let's move on to the next question. 3.1.6. Calculate the average speed in kilometers per hour that Shawzalawza Mile train uses to travel between Ladysmith and Durban if it takes 6 hours 35 minutes between the two towns. So it's quite quite a lot of information. They've given us a formula: speed equals distance over time, and this is one we often use. So what do they want? They want the answer in kilometers per hour. So therefore, the units for the distance need to be in kilometers, and the unit for time needs to be in hours. So there's two things that needs to happen. We need to first determine the distance between Ladysmith and Durban, and also make sure that our time is in hours only. And you'll see in the question that they've given us the time in hours and minutes. However, to calculate kilometers per hour, we will have to convert 6 hours 35 minutes to hours only. So if you take a look at my answer, which is, just give it a few seconds to render. Right, so in the table they've given you the distance between Johannesburg and Ladysmith as 438 kilometers, and the distance between Durban and Johannesburg as 722 kilometers. So if we want to determine the distance between Ladysmith and Durban only, we just need to get the difference between the two, and you'll see that 722 kilometers minus 438 kilometers gives you 284 kilometers, and that's the distance between Ladysmith and Durban. Okay, so now we have our distance. However, you'll see again, they've given you the time in hours and minutes, and in order for us to do this calculation, we need to make sure that the time is given in hours only. So therefore, we have to convert the minutes to a fraction of an hour. So 35 minutes divided by 60. Remember, I'm going from the smaller unit to a bigger unit, so I will divide. So 35 divided by 60 gives you 0.583333 hours, or 0.583 recurring. So therefore, speed is 284 kilometers divided by 6,583 recurring hours. You have to add the fraction of the minutes to the hours that they gave you, right? So we need to divide by 6,5833333, and that will give you an average speed of 43,14 kilometers per hour if you round that off to the second decimal. All right, so let's move on. Last question, which is about measurements. So 3.2.1, measure the height and the length in millimeters of the ballot box. So you'll see the height there is the vertical distance, and you'll get the length by measuring it with your ruler at the bottom there. You'll have to just do that on your own, because at this point in time I don't have a virtual ruler to show you this. However, some of your answers may differ a little bit. We'll go to the memo just now to look at those measurements, and as well as question 3.2.2. After we've calculated the length and the height of the ballot box, we need to calculate the perimeter in centimeters of the side of the ballot box written IEC. So let's take a look at their memo. How did they get the answer? Just move that bit. You'll see the previous answers there as well. Okay, so with question 3.2.1, we got the height as 34 millimeters You may be a few millimeters out, and that's also acceptable. You'll see on the memo they accept 33 to 35 millimeters. And the length is 26 millimeters, and also an acceptable answer would be between 25 and 27 millimeters. So your answer in 3.2.1 will now imply your answer in 3.2.2. So based on the measurements that they gave us, the perimeter will be 2 times the height of the ballot box plus 2 times the length of the ballot box. So we only got the perimeter of that one side there. So that equals to 120 or 120 millimeters, but we need to convert this to centimeters by dividing that by 10. We are going from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, so we will divide. All right, so I think that's the end of question 3. Tomorrow we'll take a look at question 4. Thank you for your time, everybody. Enjoy your day.